Hi there, it's Jen from modernmedicinelady.com and the Empathic Woman System, and the word of the day is guru. So I think there are some people on this planet who are truly divinely called and inspired to support other people in finding their way to truth and to coming to enlightenment, and who really are here on this planet doing the good work. And then there are some other people where I think, not so much. And I was having a conversation the other day with somebody who happens to have a spiritual teacher who is doing some of the stuff that really gets my hackles raised, that starts to send the red flags up. And I was thinking about how one of the biggest challenges around this is that when we are on a spiritual path, when we are especially trying to heal our stuff, when we are trying to grow, and when we are willing to be vulnerable, there's a certain willingness to be coached. There's a certain willingness to trust another person and to let them challenge us, to let them push us. And sometimes that means that we are stepping outside of our comfort zone. And so the challenge is, how do I recognize a person who really has my best interest at heart and who really is doing this for the higher and better and greater reason versus somebody who is essentially on an ego trip and is doing things for their own personal gain? So I was thinking about some of the components that at least I see as the difference between a divinely inspired guru and basically a narcissist who is doing stuff for their own benefit. And one of the things that I believe is that a real guru is not going to make other people dependent on them for the rest of their life. They may respect and be a person that you will come back to for the rest of your life, but they are fundamentally interested in you developing your own relationship with your higher power. And they are fundamentally interested in you learning how to fish. It's not that they're just going to keep providing fish for you day in, day out. They're teaching you how to fish. They're teaching you how to elevate yourself and how to find the light within you. And the thing is that in my experience, the true spiritual teachers are the ones who want their students to surpass them, are the ones who want to give their students the wings so that they can go even further. That it's not about just being the wisdom keeper and holding on to it and never letting anybody else have it. As well as fundamentally, while they may see something and challenge somebody to look at something, they will also never try to coerce somebody or bully somebody or abuse somebody or put them down in order to get their way. And while certainly I think it is extremely reasonable in this economy and in this day and age for somebody to charge for their services, and even honestly to charge abundantly for their services, transparency around money is another thing that's really important, as well as, again, not trying to coerce somebody to stick around or stay when the arrangement or the relationship is really done. Conversely, when we're talking about somebody who is kind of doing it for the wrong reasons, shall we say, one of the things that I've noticed is that there can often be a tendency for them to coerce, for them to bully, for them to challenge, and a lot of times to not take feedback, to not receive information, that anything that does not fit into the way they see things to be, they're going to basically say to the acolyte, to the student that is there, oh, well, the reason you're having a problem with that is because you're just not growing, or the reason you're having a problem with that is because you're scared and you're not doing your work. And if you want to leave right now, well, I'm sorry if you're going to do that, because that's really just your fear getting in the way, and you're just being a wimp about it. And the thing is that sometimes there can be fear, but when somebody is basically saying, your experience and your fear and your everything is invalid because I know the truth and you don't know the truth, I would say run for the hills. Now, in addition, one of the things that I always look for is, what is that person's relationship like with the rest of their students? And is there a situation where there's there isn't a dialogue, there isn't an opportunity for conversation and for respect, as well as, are they having sex with their students? That's one that is always the biggest red flag for me. And whenever I see that happening, I'm like, run. Just don't even bother, because that is a situation where somebody has a great deal of power and their students are in a situation where they're very vulnerable. But ultimately, in my experience, the bottom line is a good healer, a good teacher, a good guru is going to care about you. And they're not going to coerce you. They're not going to force you. They're not going to try to get you to do something that you're not ready to do, that you don't want to do. And ultimately, I also believe that in this day and age where we have the technology to do healing work in an incredibly gentle and soft and sweet way, we don't have to be doing primal scream therapy anymore, and we don't have to be knocking people over the head with a sledgehammer. It does not have to hurt. We do not have to be raked over the coals in order to clear the stuff that has been affecting us. And if anything, I look for people who have a deep sense of how to do things in the most gentle and kind way possible, and who are really mindful of the space and the safety for every single person in that group. And so that is another thing. When somebody is creating a group and a space, what are their boundaries? What is the container? How clear are the rules within that space? And do you ultimately feel safe, or do you feel like it's just this loose free-for-all? And do you find yourself feeling really, really, really triggered? And if you do, is there support for that? Is there a method for dealing with it and handling it? So I'm not really sure. I guess if I was going to ask you questions, I would say, so what's your experience with good gurus and bad gurus? Have you ever had an experience with an inappropriate teacher? Have you ever had an experience where you're like, ooh, I am going to stay the hell away from that spiritual teacher because they are not appropriate or they do not feel right to me? And have you ever had a situation where maybe you had that gut sense, but then you kind of got coerced or bullied, or sort of thought maybe you were being just resistant, and that they played on your vulnerability basically and convinced you that you should come in because the reason you wouldn't be doing it was because you were fearful? So I'd love to hear what you have to say about all of this. You know what to do. Leave a comment below. And until next word of the day, I am wishing you peace. I am wishing you ease. And I am wishing you the confidence, the depth of your own truth to know who's the right teacher, the right teachers, the right gurus for you. So, in the meantime, please like my Facebook page. Encourage your friends to like my Facebook page, assuming that I am the right teacher or one of the right teachers for you. And also, please help me get this out into the world and share it with other people who would find it useful. Thank you so much. And until tomorrow, peace.